Hello everyone. Glue Book January is coming up and I wanted to do an introduction to glue books. And this is for those new people that don't know what a glue book is, and it's also for those people that have done glue books in the past. I want to put out a definition of glue books out there. Glue Book January is coming up. And I want to kind of push the boundaries of glue books a little bit. I want to um, expand on glue books. Most people who have done glue books, when they think of a glue book, they think of a traditional glue book, and I will get into that later. I don't want to put that kind of idea into anybody's head if you are not familiar with a glue book. So the definition of a glue book is gluing pieces of paper into a book. You can use any kind of book. You can use any kind of glue. You can use any kind of paper to glue into that book. That is the broad definition. That is what a glue book is. People have been doing variations of glue books for years and years. Some people, your grandmothers, great-grandmothers, were doing scrapbooks or collage. They were collaging recipes into a scrapbook, or they in the 50s, the teenagers would be fans of somebody, and they would, do newspaper clippings and magazine articles and stuff and glue them in all together into a book. Scrapbooking, memory keeping. In the Victorian times, they would keep tickets and personal things, ephemera from everyday life or something special, and they would glue it all together into a memory book. Those are all forms of a glue book. All you're doing is gluing bits of paper together into a book. And so this year I am pushing the limits a little bit. I want people to think about glue books in a broader kind of way. I would like people to think about glue books and try something new maybe this year. So I will get into that later. So I have a variety of glue books to discuss and talk about. My theory on glue books, like I said, most people think about a traditional glue book when they think about glue books. And I would really like to stop people from actually thinking this way. But, a traditional glue book, if you're at all familiar, it is a book with pictures glued into it. Usually they are square pictures, and the page is filled with these pictures. Sorry about the glare. With the shiny magazines, there's just really no way to get around it. But this is a traditional glue book, what most people think of, square pictures all put together on a page. There's not really a focal point. It's just a collection of images, really. These are some images that I'd had for quite a few years and wanted to do something with. I put them all together in a glue book. So this is what most people think of as a glue book. Let me give you an example of broadening your horizons just a little bit. Say you're bird watching. You're a bird watcher and you want to go out and do some bird watching. You go out, you get in the car and you drive wherever, and you get your binoculars and you're looking at all the birds. Every kind of bird there is. You're looking. After a while, you have a favorite type of bird that you like looking at. Maybe it is a duck. So when you go bird watching the next time, you know you're going to find ducks at the lake, so you drive to the lake and you pretty much just focus on the ducks because that's what you like. And then to be more specific, maybe it's mating season, or it's nesting season, or it's the birds are hatching, and you want to watch the mallard ducks. You want to watch the chicks, or you want to watch them start to learn to swim or whatever. So it's a very specific kind of bird that you want to look at. It's a mallard duck, but it's still a bird. And glue books are the same kind of way. Glue books are anything, any kind of book with papers glued into them. This is a very specific kind of glue book. It is a traditional kind of glue book. It's more like a mallard duck. It's very specific. So this year I'm kind of hoping to make it not quite so specific for people. I'm kind of hoping that people will try something new. So here's another glue book, and it is what I call a serendipity glue book. It is just pieces of random bits of paper glued to the pages of this book. Again, there is no focal points. It's just, if you know anything about serendipity paper, you just grab a bunch of stuff and just glue it down on the page. This is just pieces of paper. They're not square like the other ones. It's just different kinds of paper glued together, and it does fill the entire page. It's still a glue book. It's just a glue book. This may be called just a duck. A duck is still a bird. It is a glue book. It is more of a freehand kind of glue book. I enjoyed doing this. I didn't have to worry about trying to find a little picture that would fit in that little square spot or whatever. This was very freeing for me. I could just grab something and find a space and just glue it on and not worry about, it fitting or it matching to anything or whatever. Just a serendipity book. And this is the kind of thing I'm kind of going for this year, but I will get into that later as well. All right, so it's a serendipity book. It's still a specific kind of glue book, but it's still a glue book. Here's a very specific kind of glue book. It is my postage stamp glue book. It is still pieces of paper glued onto the page, but the theme is postage stamps from around the world. And that's all I used. So it is a very specific kind of glue book. It was still fun. It was still nice to do. Just grab a piece of paper and glue it to the page. It's just a glue book. That's a variety, a different kind of a glue book. Here is a scavenger hunt book. Now this kind of glue book, again, is not squared pictures. Each page has a theme. Of course, this is elephants. So I tried to find as many elephants as I possibly could, and I filled up the page with elephants. And each page has a different theme. It's still a glue book. It's just a different way to do the glue book. It's not finished yet. It's just a glue book. Each page has its own particular theme. And I tried to put as many different things that I could on the page. Here's another scavenger hunt book. This one's my alphabet glue book. and each page is a letter of the alphabet, going from A all the way to Z. Not square pictures. There's some fussy cut things in here. There's some words in here. There's, all kinds of stuff. It is still a glue book, even though there's words to it. It's just a glue book. Pieces of paper glued into a book, put all together. This one, another different theme. My definition of an art journal is a book that has paint in it. So this particular glue book kind of bends that rule just a little bit. This is the painted paper glue book. And I'll show you just a little bit of that. But the reason I call this a glue book and not an art journal is because I started out with some painted papers. This one's a plain one. This one hasn't been started yet. This one I haven't done anything with. This is basically what I started with, the painted paper glue book. Some pages that have some paint and stuff on them. Pretty, a lot of paint. And what I did was I grabbed little bits of leftover painted papers and some ephemera that had color to it, and just glued those to the pages, all together, so that it is a glue book. I didn't actually paint inside this book. I added painted paper. The paper was already painted when I glued it in. So I had a bowl of variety of colored papers, painted, and ephemera bits, and just glued this color stuff onto the pages. It is very not traditional, but I still consider this a glue book. It's just a different way to go about it. Sometimes I left the page and only glued one or two things to the page, and sometimes I glued, something to the entire page. I just sat there with my glue stick and glued bits to the pages. No images, just color, lots of color. That was what I was going for. I wanted color. Well, there's an image there, but anyway, lots of color. I was going for color. It's just a glue book. I just glued painted papers together. That was it. Here's another one that I did a few years ago. It was one of my favorite ones. I had this old book, and the pages were falling out of it, and the covers, it's seen better days. Pages were falling out of it, and I had torn out some pages to use as collage fodder. And my main purpose for this one was to leave white space, which was difficult for me at the beginning of this. So I used a math book and just glued some images on, leaving the page to show, and I did learn how to leave white space. I really enjoyed doing this book. It was one of a relaxing kind of thing. It was very freeing because I didn't have to find a little picture to fit that little space. I didn't have to line up edges so that, they were perfect. I didn't have to do any of that stuff. I could just grab images that I liked and glue some of them onto a page, and when I was happy, I could move on and not worry about having to fill up the entire page. This one really changed the way I look at glue books. Some people might consider this a collage book. All right. And that's fine. You know, everybody is entitled to their definitions of what things are. I'm not going to say anybody's wrong. I mean, there's no wrong or right way to do a glue book. But it's a collage book, yes. It is a glue book. I've just glued pieces of paper to the book. There's no difference between a collage book and a glue book. Absolutely none. The French word collage means to glue. Some of these have some focal points. Some of them are, would be considered collages. A collage book is just another form of a glue book. This is a duck, but it's still a bird kind of thing. All right? I would really like, those people that are just set in their ways to expand just a little bit and try something new this year. Maybe try a little bit of random collage or whatever. I enjoyed doing this book a lot. So here's another one upside down. It is a collage book. It is a glue book. It was done, some of the pages were painted papers. I just glued things down to the page. It ended up being a collage book, but it's just a form of a glue book. It's just the same kind of thing. It's a glue book. Some pages have more stuff on them than others. It's just a book that I glued stuff into. So here's another one. This one is a handmade book. It's got different sized pages. Some of the pages are oddly shaped. It's still just a glue book. It's a random glue book. I just glued images and pieces of paper and painted papers and, whatever. I randomly glued a bunch of stuff to the pages. Now, I wouldn't say that there's really a main focal point. It's just a collection of images all put together. The images aren't squared up like a traditional glue book, but they're just glued to the page. It's just slightly different. It's still just a glue book. What I'm hoping to get people to understand is there's no one definition for anything. There's no one definition for a glue book or an art journal. It is whatever you want it to be. If you want, your glue book to have paint in it, it's your glue book. Do what feels right to you. Do what makes you happy. No one else gets to tell you, you're doing it wrong. There's no such thing. You are doing you. And that's what I really, really, really want to stress is there is no wrong way. There is no right way to do a glue book. A glue book is anything. It can be anything. It can be everything. It can be done in any way that you want it to be done. It can include anything you want it to include. And if you want yours to be very, very specific, and you want to do it in a traditional way, that's perfect, as long as you're happy. But if you want to try something new and kind of, you know, try doing something a little bit more random or a little looser, or, Serendipity book that you're just gluing bits in is a good one to start with. So this is the reason that I'm kind of staying away from traditional glue books just a little bit. And I don't hate them. I don't dislike them. And, I recommend doing a traditional glue book. They're fun. They're nice. They're nice to look at. And they're a great place to put images that you've saved. The only thing that I don't like about this kind of a glue book is you are trying to put an image from corner to corner. This one here has a little space. This picture was just not big enough, but I still wanted this picture in the book. Now I need to go and find something to put in that little space there, and that takes time. Going through all your images, trying to find something a little skinny that would fit there takes a whole lot of time. And so I am in a place where time, I don't have a whole lot. And so trying to find images to fit a specific little area, it takes too much time. And I'm not ready to spend that kind of time. So, I'd probably put something together like this, of course, trimming up the pictures, and then I'd have to find some little pictures that would go there that wouldn't cover up something that I want on this picture that doesn't overlap or whatever. It takes time to find that perfect piece of paper, that perfect image, the perfect whatever that just goes right on that page. It takes a lot of time. If you have the time to spend, if you want to do your glue book that way, that's perfectly fine. I mean, I've got no, but I am going forward this year with other ideas that will be just a little bit easier, maybe quicker, some smaller glue books, and I will get into those at another time in a different video. This was just supposed to be a quick introduction to glue books. For those people that have never done a glue book, they're really easy to do. They're really simple. They're really fun. All you need is a book, glue, whatever glue you're comfortable with. I like a glue stick because it's dry and it goes a little bit faster for me. But other people like to use, a wet glue, a matte medium or something. Whatever you're more comfortable with, that's what you should use. Whatever kinds of images that you may have, I suggest finding images that you really like that make you stop and you want to look at again. Don't save things that you really don't like the looks of. And find a size that works for you. It could be a blank book. It could be a book that you've made, a junk journal, something like that. It could be, anything. It could be an art journal that you didn't finish and just want to add glue book pages to the end so you can say you finished the book. It can be anything at all. The main purpose of a glue book is glue therapy, relaxing, and just gluing images in. It's very addicting. If you haven't done it before, you kind of lose track of time. It's very relaxing, and it's very satisfying. When you get your book done, it's fun to look through. You see all these images that you enjoy looking at. I enjoy looking through my glue books. I have so many that, I forget certain things, and it's fun to come across something that I'd forgotten about. Oh yeah, I like that image, kind of thing. Um, they're very inspirational. They inspire me to do other glue books, and I'm always collecting stuff that I want to put in a glue book. I have a little basket that I just put images in that I want a glue book with. So that's all. You don't need magazines to do a glue book. You can use newspaper or book text, illustrations from books. You can use stamps, um, postage stamps, wrapping paper, patterns from scrapbook paper, or envelopes, the patterns from the security envelopes, painted papers. You don't have to have magazines to do a glue book. You can glue any kind of paper together, like a Serendipity book. If you had little scraps of paper from your art journal, I don't throw any of those things away, the interesting shapes or whatever. I just throw them in a basket, and then I have a bunch of stuff to glue in when I just have a few minutes, and I just grab a glue book and start gluing stuff in. So that's my suggestion. Find a size that works for you. It might be small. It might be a little bit larger if you've got larger images. You can have more than one glue book going at a time. I certainly do. And it's fun. It's only supposed to be relaxing. It's only supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be stressful. So if you're being stressed out by a glue book, maybe you need to take a break and rethink what you're doing there. There's no right way or wrong way to do a glue book. A glue book can be anything. It's everything all together. So I hope that helps some people, those people that have never done a glue book. Sky's the limit. You can do a glue book any way that you want to do it. Use whatever you happen to have on hand and just try it out and see what works for you. And for those people that have been doing glue books for a long time, I hope that I inspired you to maybe try something new this year. Go a little bit out of your comfort zone and try, non-squarish type pictures. Maybe leave some white space. Maybe do a serendipity book, and see how that feels. See how it works for you. I'm hoping that we're going to have some fun in Glue Book January this year, and I will get more into some of the projects for this year in another video. So stay tuned. They're coming. Thanks for watching.